Exodus chapter 16. And they took their journey from Elim, and all the congregation of the children of Israel came into the wilderness of Sin, which is between Elim and Sinai, on the 15th day of the 2nd month after their departing out of the land of Egypt. And the whole congregation of the children of Israel murmured against Moses and Aaron in the wilderness. And the children of Israel said to them, Would that we had died by the hand of Yahweh in the land of Egypt, where we sat by the flesh pots, and when we did eat bread to the full. For you have brought us forth to this wilderness, and to kill this whole assembly with hunger. And then said Yahweh to Moses, Behold, I will rain bread from heaven for you, and the people shall go out and gather a certain rate every day, that I may prove them, whether they will walk in my law or not. And it shall come to pass that on the 6th day they shall prepare that which they bring in, and it shall be twice as much as they gather daily. And Moses and Aaron said to all the children of Israel, At evening, then you shall know that Yahweh has brought you out from the land of Egypt. And in the morning, then you shall see the splendor of Yahweh, for that he hears your murmurings against him. And what are we that you murmur against us? And Moses said, This shall be, when Yahweh shall give you in the evening flesh to eat, and in the morning bread to the full. For Yahweh hears your murmurings, which you murmur against him. And what are we? Your murmurings are not against us, but against Yahweh. And Moses spoke to Aaron, Say to all the congregation of the children of Israel, Come near before Yahweh, for he has heard your murmurings. And it came to pass, as Aaron spoke to the whole congregation of the children of Israel, that they looked toward the wilderness, and behold, the splendor of Yahweh appeared in the cloud. And Yahweh spoke to Moses, saying, I have heard the murmurings of the children of Israel. Speak to them, saying, In the evenings you shall eat flesh, and in the morning you shall be filled with bread, and you shall know that I am Yahweh your Elohim. And it came to pass that at evening the quails came up and covered the camp. And in the morning the dew lay round about the host. And when the dew that lay was gone up, behold, upon the face of the wilderness there lay a small round thing, as small as the hoarfrost on the ground. And when the children of Israel saw, they said one to another, It is manna, for they did not know what it was. And Moses said to them, This is the bread which Yahweh has given you to eat. This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. Gather of it every man according to his eating, an omer for every man, according to the number of your persons. Take you every man for them which are in his tents. And the children of Israel did so, and gathered, some more, some less. And when they did measure it with an omer, he that gathered much had nothing over, and he that had gathered little had no lack. They gathered every man according to his eating. And Moses said, Let no man leave of it till the morning. Nevertheless they did not listen to Moses, but some of them left of it until the morning, and it bred worms and stank, and Moses was angry with them. And they gathered it every morning, every man according to his eating. And when the sun grew hot, it melted. And it came to pass that on the 6th day they gathered twice as much bread, 2 omers for one man. And all the rulers of the congregation came and told Moses. And he said to them, This is that which Yahweh has said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath to Yahweh. Bake that which you will bake today, and boil what you will boil, and that which remains over lay up for you to be kept until the morning. And they laid it up till the morning, as Moses bid them. And it did not stink, neither was there any worm in it. And Moses said, Eat that today, for today is a Sabbath to Yahweh. Today you shall not find it in the field. 6 days you shall gather, but on the 7th day, the Sabbath, in it there shall be none. And it came to pass, there went out some of the people on the 7th day to gather, and they found none. And Yahweh said to Moses, How long do you refuse to keep my commandments and my laws? See, for that Yahweh has given you the Sabbath. Therefore he gives you on the 6th day the bread of 2 days. Abide you, every man in his place. Let no man go out of his place on the 7th day. And so the people rested on the 7th day. And the house of Israel called the name of it manna. And it was like coriander seed, white. And the taste of it was like wafers made with honey. And Moses said, This is the thing which Yahweh commands. fill an omer of it to be kept for your generations, that you may see the bread wherewith I have fed you in the wilderness, when I brought you forth from the land of Egypt. And Moses said to Aaron, Take a pot, and put an omer full of manna in it, and lay it up before Yahweh, to be kept for your generations. As Yahweh commanded Moses, so Aaron laid it up before the testimony, to be kept. And the children of Israel did eat manna 40 years, till they came to a land inhabited. They did eat manna until they came to the borders of the land of Canaan. Now an omer is the 10th part of an ephah. End of chapter. Exodus chapter 17. And all the congregation of the children of Israel journeyed from the wilderness of Sin, after their journeys, according to the commandment of Yahweh, and pitched in Rephidim. And there was no water for the people to drink. Wherefore the people did chide with Moses, and said, Give us water, that we may drink. And Moses said to them, Why do you chide with me? Wherefore do you tempt Yahweh? And the people thirsted there for water. And the people murmured against Moses, and said, Wherefore is this, that you have brought us up out of Egypt to kill us and our children and our cattle with thirst? Moses cried to Yahweh, saying, What shall I do to this people? They be almost ready to stone me. And Yahweh said to Moses, Go on before the people, and take with you of the elders of Israel, and your rod which you struck the river with, take it in your hand, and go. Behold, I will stand before you there upon the rock in Horeb, and you shall strike the rock, and there shall come water out of it, so that the people may drink. Moses did so in the sight of the elders of Israel. And he called the name of the place Massah and Meribah, because of the chiding of the children of Israel, and because they tempted Yahweh, saying, Is Yahweh among us or not? Then came Amalek, and fought with Israel in Rephidim. And Moses said to Joshua, Choose us out men, and go out and fight with Amalek. Tomorrow I will stand on the top of the hill with the rod of Elohim in my hand. So Joshua did as Moses had said to him, and fought with Amalek. And Moses, Aaron, and Hur went to the top of the hill. And it came to pass, when Moses held up his hand, that Israel prevailed. And when he let down his hand, Amalek prevailed. But Moses' hands were heavy, and they took a stone and put it under him, and he sat on it. And Aaron and Hur stayed up his hands, the one on the one side, the other on the other side, and his hands were steady until the going down of the sun. And Joshua discomfited Amalek and his people with the edge of the sword. And Yahweh said to Moses, Write this for a memorial in a book, and rehearse it in the ears of Joshua, for I will utterly put out the remembrance of Amalek from under heaven. And Moses built an altar, and called the name of it Yahweh Nisi. For he said, Because Yahweh has sworn that Yahweh will have war with Amalek from generation to generation. End of chapter. Exodus chapter 18. When Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard of all that Elohim had done for Moses and for Israel his people, and that Yahweh had brought Israel out of Egypt, then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after he had sent her back, and her 2 sons, of which the name of the one was Gershom, for he said, I have been an alien in a strange land, and the name of the other was Eleazar, for the Elohim of my father, said he, was my help, and delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife to Moses into the wilderness, where he encamped at the mount of Elohim. And he said to Moses, I, your father-in-law, Jethro, am come to you, and your wife, and her 2 sons with her. And Moses went out to meet his father-in-law, and bowed before him, and kissed him, and they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. And Moses told his father-in-law all that Yahweh had done to Pharaoh and to the Egyptians for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them along the way, and how Yahweh delivered them. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which Yahweh had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hand of the Egyptians. And Jethro said, Blessed be Yahweh, who has delivered you out of the hand of the Egyptians and out of the hand of Pharaoh, who has delivered the people from under the hand of the Egyptians. Now I know that Yahweh is greater than all Elohim. For in the thing wherein they dealt proudly, he was above them. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrifices for Elohim. And Aaron came, and all the elders of Israel, to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before Yahweh. And it came to pass on the next day that Moses sat to judge the people, and the people stood by Moses from the morning to the evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he did to the people, he said, "What is this thing that you do to the people? Why do you sit by yourself alone, and all the people stand with you from morning to evening?" And Moses said to his father-in-law, "Because the people come to me to inquire of Yahweh. When they have a matter, they come to me, and I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of Yahweh and his laws." And Moses' father-in-law said to him, "The thing that you do is not good. You will surely wear away, both you and this people that are with you, for this thing is too heavy for you. You are not able to perform it yourself alone. Listen now to my voice. I will give you counsel, and Yahweh shall be with you. Be you for the people a representative of Yahweh, that you may bring the causes to Yahweh, and you shall teach them ordinances and laws. You shall show them the way wherein they must walk, and the work that they must do. Moreover, you shall provide out of all the people able men, such as fear Yahweh, men of truth, hating covetousness, and place such over them, to be rulers of thousands and rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s and rulers of 10s, and let them judge the people at all seasons. And it shall be that every great matter they shall bring to you, but every small matter they shall judge. So shall it be easier for yourself, and they shall bear the burden with you. If you shall do this thing, and Yahweh command you so, then you shall be able to endure, and all this people shall also go to their place in peace." And so Moses listened to the voice of his father-in-law, and did all that he had said. And Moses chose able men out of all Israel, and made them heads over the people, rulers of thousands, rulers of hundreds, rulers of 50s, and rulers of 10s. And they judged the people at all seasons. The hard causes they brought to Moses, but every small matter they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law depart, and he went his way to his own land. End of chapter. Exodus chapter 19. In the 3rd month, when the children of Israel were gone forth out of the land of Egypt, the same day they came into the wilderness of Sinai, for they were departed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had pitched in the wilderness, and there Israel camped before the mount. And Moses went up to Elohim, and Yahweh called to him out of the mountain, saying, "Thus shall you say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, You have seen what I did to the Egyptians, how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself. Now therefore, if you will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then you shall be a peculiar treasure to me above all people, for all the earth is mine. And you shall be to me a kingdom of priests, and a holy nation. These are the words which you shall speak to the children of Israel." And Moses came, and called for the elders of the people, and laid before their faces all these words which Yahweh commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, "All that Yahweh has spoken we will do." And Moses returned the words of the people to Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Moses, "Lo, I come to you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever." And Moses told the words of the people to Yahweh. And Yahweh said to Moses, "Go to the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes, and be ready against the 3rd day. For the 3rd day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And you shall set bounds to the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that you do not go up into the mount or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall surely be put to death. There shall not a hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through. Whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come up to the mount." And Moses went down from the mount to the people, and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said to the people, "Be ready for the 3rd day. Do not come at your wives." And it came to pass on the 3rd day in the morning, that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Yahweh. And they stood at the outer part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire, and the smoke of it ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and grew louder and louder, Moses spoke, and Yahweh answered him with a voice. And Yahweh came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mount, and Yahweh called Moses up to the top of the mount. And Moses went up. And Yahweh said to Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through to Yahweh to gaze, and many of them perish. And let the priests also, which come near to Yahweh, sanctify themselves, lest Yahweh break forth upon them. And Moses said to Yahweh, The people cannot come up to Mount Sinai, for you charged us, saying, Set bounds around the mount and sanctify it. And Yahweh said to them, Away, get you down, and you shall come up, you and Aaron with you. But do not let the priests and the people break through to come up to Yahweh, lest he break forth upon them. And so Moses went down to the people and spoke to them. End of chapter. Exodus chapter 20. And Yahweh spoke all these words, saying, I am Yahweh, your Elohim, which have brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. You shall have no other Elohim before me. You shall not make to you any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down yourself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh, your Elohim, am jealous, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children to the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy to thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. You shall not take the name of Yahweh your Elohim in vain, for Yahweh will not hold him guiltless that takes his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor, and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahweh your Elohim. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Sabbath day, and hallowed it. Honor your father and mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. You shall not murder. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal. You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not cover your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is your neighbor's. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw, they removed themselves and stood afar off. And they said to Moses, You speak with us, and we will hear, but do not let Yahweh speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said to the people, Do not fear, for Yahweh is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, so that you do not sin. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near to the thick darkness where Yahweh was. And Yahweh said to Moses, Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, You've seen that I've talked with you from heaven. You shall not make with me Elohim of silver, neither shall you make to you Elohim of gold. An altar of earth you shall make to me, and shall sacrifice upon it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In all places where I record my name, I will come to you, and I will bless you. And if you will make me an altar of stone, you shall not build it of hewn stone, for if you lift up a tool upon it, you have polluted it. Neither shall you go up by steps to my altar, that your nakedness be not discovered upon it. End of chapter.